morning, Angel. Good morning, baby. Are you happy to see me? Huh? This is the closing day here at the Deadwood 3WHEELER rally. And again, it's a pretty slow morning. Not a lot going on here. We did service a Harley-Davidson Trike already. And that's about it. Walked around, talked to a couple other vendors, talked to the bartenders. Looks like it's going to be a fairly slow day. And I know tonight they've got like a big dinner where they feed everybody. I guess this isn't going to happen until much later. We might already be closing with it, I'm sure. You know, I'm even wondering why I've got the bike running. There's no one here to see it. And, this isn't a love joke show, and we're not even hardly selling any of the exhaust fragrance around Willie's, so it's probably just a waste of time. So one thing I may do today is I noticed that the front tire of my bike is getting pretty low on tread, and I do plan on doing a lot of riding while we're here. So if I was just running around town, I wouldn't worry so much about it. But we may run over to Montana to go to Red Lodge. We're going to ride out to Devil's Tower, Mount Rushmore, Badlands National Park, stuff like that over the next couple of weeks while we're on our kind of vacation time. And with the Mini Cooper, fitting all three of us in there is not very comfortable. So the plan is that Mom and Katie can then run in the Cooper, and I'll just ride the bike everywhere because that's what I'd want to do anyways. And it's more comfortable, and it's more practical, and it's more fun. But I do want a good tire on there just because it's the safe thing to do. Alright guys, I'm getting ready to head up to Sturgis to go to J&P, but the Mini Cooper was just about out of fuel, so I went ahead and stopped at the Big D again. And man, that was a beautiful Corvette in front of us, wasn't it? Yeah, that blue was just absolutely beautiful, and it was in the shade and it was beautiful. I can imagine in the sunlight how nice that car actually looked. Hi guys, so I got the bike up on the lift and we pulled the front wheel off. We're gonna go ahead and try to change the tire. However, I don't have a good way to break the bead here, so we're trying to come up with creative methods to break the bead on this. All right guys, so what we did is we used the weight from Chip's bike with the kickstand, and we were able to break that bead off. All right guys, Chip and I got the old wheel off with just the pry bars. Now we're gonna try to get the new wheel on. We're gonna lube it all up, pop it in place. All right guys, when you're mounting your tire, a couple things you wanna take notice of is the direction of rotation. So right now, the way I've got this tire set up would be wrong because my brake rotor is on the left side of the motorcycle, which means as this wheel sits, it would rotate clockwise. We've got it set up counterclockwise, so we wanna flip it over. The other thing you want to look for is there's usually a yellow dot on the wheel, especially on Dunlops. Yep, that looks like it. That yellow dot is considered your balance mark. So what happens is when the tire is manufactured at Dunlop or whatever the manufacturer is, they actually lay it on a scale and they find the light spot of the tire and they mark it. Because in theory, where your valve stem goes in your wheel should be slightly heavier than the rest of the area of the wheel because you've got that additional piece there. So you always want to make that mark on the tire line up with the valve stem, and most likely that's the best place to start your balancing. In some cases you don't even need to balance depending on how good the manufacturing process is on the tire and on the wheel together. Well guys, it took all four of our hands to do it, so it was hard to video, but we did get the tire on using just pry bars. Not quite as easy as using spoons, but it's the same basic concept. The shape is just a little bit different. I did scratch my wheel in one spot, but these wheels are so scratched up I wasn't really trying not to. They said I would never do this on a customer's motorcycle in this manner. You know, at home we've got the tire machine, and I've got all the protective covers on the tire machine to make it where you can do a tire change and not damage the wheel in any way. But it's on, so now we gotta hit it with air pressure, set the bead, and put it back on. And right now, Chip's loading up another bike for us to work on. All right, guys, and now that I got the tire beaded and aired up to the proper pressure, I was getting ready to put it back into the bike, and we thought, you know what, better check the wheel bearings before we do, and I'm glad I did. There's a lot of little rough spots in them, like almost detented. The sad thing is these bearings aren't that old. I just put these in here in 2018 when I did this 21-inch wheel conversion, because this wheel is actually off of a Softail breakout, and the axle diameter and the hub diameter were different than the factory Road King wheel. So in order to use the factory Road King axle and the Softail wheel, I had to find a bearing that worked. And in fact, I did it right over in Rapid City during the Sturgis rally in 2018. I really thought they would have lasted longer than this, because there's probably only 5,000 or 6,000 miles on the bike since then. But yeah, I'm not liking the way they feel, so I'm gonna go ahead and get some new ones. I did see that these are stamped China. Maybe that's just all I could get at the time, and I had to get it back together. But I called the local auto parts store over in Central City, the Napa, and they've got a good set of Timkins, which are made in the USA, I believe. If not, they're made in like Spain or something. Anyway, not China. That's all that matters. And they've got 2 sets in stock. So I'm gonna run over there and grab those. Be back in a few. You know, guys, and actually I got to give credit where credit is due. Chip is the one that found the bearings. And you know, he stuck his finger in there and spun it around and realized that they were pretty stiff and detented. It was on my list of things to check, even though in my mind I thought that they would be okay since they weren't very old. But that's why you never assume that something is good. You always check it. All right, guys, so I'm downtown on Main Street in Deadwood. I jumped on Chip's bike to run, and just my timing, I'm on just coming in, and they're doing one of the reenactments. You can see they've got the road shut down. Now, I can always make a U-turn to go around, but maybe it'll be interesting to sit here and watch. All right, guys, I want to give thanks to Sturdivant's here in Central City. I guess technically is their thing. They're right in between Deadwood and Lead. So it's only about 2 miles down the road, maybe 3. Quick, easy trip, and they had what I wanted. All right, guys, all the new bearings are back in now. Nice and smooth. Let's go put it back on the bike. All right, guys, so when I picked up those bearings from the auto parts store, I got to thinking, you know, this is the 3rd situation on this trip where something bad has happened, and I've been lucky enough to get everything fixed. So we had the tires on the way here, and shop right down the road had both tires in stock. The fuel pump problem, or the fuel regulator problem on my bike the other day, luckily all the parts were within Sturgis, very close. Now this whole wheel bearing thing, I got lucky, the bearings are in stock. And I was gonna come on here and tell you, you know what, the thing that scares me about that is that eventually something bad is gonna happen and it's not gonna be so lucky. Well, I thought that it just happened, but I might be wrong on that. So basically, we got to put the wheel back on. Hold on a second, I gotta show you guys this Bronco. I love the new Broncos. Anyways, you saw us put the bearings in. We went to go put it back on the bike, and the axle didn't fit. Now, we crossed the parts. Everything should have worked, even with my caliper. Now, my caliper isn't a dial. Sometimes it's a little tricky to read them, and I was off by a little bit, but it all looked like it was going to work. But it turns out my axle was a 1-inch axle, and the inside diameter of the bearings that I put in the wheel were only 984 thousandths. So we were like 16 thousandths too small. Well, what do you do? So I decided to find a place to machine the axle down. I know that sounds a little extreme, but I wanted to be able to buy an off-the-part shell for this custom application. I wasn't happy with the old bearings. I want to be able to use the new Timken bearings, and the axle isn't going to go bad, so it's going to stay in the bike forever for the most part, but bearings are going to wear out, and I didn't want to have to machine bearings every time I got them. So then the problem is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Who am I going to find that's going to machine an axle down for me last minute notice? And I had no idea where they do it, but I gave it a try. If you guys remember last year, we came here and did a little feature on this place, so I decided to stop by. It is Jerry Greer's Engineering. They build custom Indian parts. Not just custom Indian parts, but for the old vintage Indians, they actually manufacture the parts that are no longer available so that they can basically restore these motorcycles. So guys, I just walked in here with my axle and the wheel that I had already pressed the new bearings in, and I brought the old bearings with me as well, and said, please, can you help me? These guys were just closing up shop and getting ready to go home, and they took the time, almost an hour, to take my project in almost immediately, and they got it machined down. So here's a little bit of footage that I took in there. Absolutely amazing the skill level that these guys have and the care that they took for a project that they didn't even have any intention of doing anything with today. But we got the clearance down. I say we, they got the clearance down. So, you know, they machined like 10 thousandths off the first time, and then they just kind of did some small cuts, and they got it within half a thousandths. Like the axle wouldn't slide in. They were just, we had like a little ledge on there where there was a go and then a no go. And then at that point, emery cloth on the lathe, and then to finish it off, they used a buffing wheel to get the final fitment. So the axle is really snug in the bearings, so there's no slop. Any bigger and it wouldn't fit. Just amazing the way these guys did it. So now I gotta hurry up and get back over there and get the bike back together, because we gotta start breaking down, and we're way behind schedule now. All right, guys, it is almost 8:30. We finally got the bike back together, and I forgot to record anymore. It's all good. I also put a new brake rotor on the front of it because, well, we bent the one that was on there, breaking the bead. And we discussed being careful with that beforehand, and then we got careless and bent it. But you know what? I wanted a new brake rotor anyways, because that one was pretty old. And I think that it wasn't performing as well as I like. I think there was a slight warp to it. And of course, we put a big bend in it. So, brand new brake rotor, brand new bearings, brand new tire. All is good. I wanted to put new brake pads in it too, but unfortunately the brake pads are out of stock, so I was not able to do that. We started tearing down. We've got almost everything packed into the trailer already. Really, mostly what's left is to take the awnings down. But we're taking a break from that from a moment because they're getting ready to do the Trike parade all the way through downtown Deadwood. And I wanted to, you know, put put the little whirly bird up in the air and catch that for you guys. So I'm just waiting for the go ahead. I've got it all set up and ready to go. So just sit tight and we'll see how it goes. guys, it's like 10 o'clock at night. We finally got everything torn down. Everything's put away. And we're tired. Definitely ready for a shower and a good night's sleep. And then we're off for 2 weeks. We'll see what that brings us. So I loaded everything up except for the car and the motorcycle, because those, we're staying in the area, so there's no sense in loading that up. But I don't know, we'll see what happens. Well guys, everything is done. Everything's put away. We went and showered in just in time. The winds are starting to pick up. There's a storm coming in. I don't know if it's going to be as bad as the one that was here a few nights ago, but the winds are picking up pretty good, so I'm glad the awning is down and put away. But that is where we're going to close this video, right here. So thank you guys for watching. 3-Wheeler Rally is done and behind us, and now it's just kind of vacation time until we get to the next rally. So thank you for watching, and until the next time we see you, you keep those engines running.